Good evening. Welcome to the National News Broadcast. I'm Kasuni Balachandra.
A very good evening to you indeed. I'm Shehara Hera. Now let's first have a look at the headlines for tonight.
Warrants issued for the arrests of 10 individuals, including former Minister Ravi Karunanayaka. The President says the period in which state institutions were used to award positions to political affiliates has ended. The Premier emphasizes that the Provincial Council's election needs to be held after the general election without delay. The President requests the task force on the prevention of the coronavirus to formulate a scientific process to prevent the virus from entering the country. A number of areas, including Ratnapura, experience rains today. China bans consumption of the meat of wild animals in a bid to curb the spread of the coronavirus.
Moving on to those and other stories in detail. The Colombo Fort Magistrates Court has issued warrants for the arrests of 10 individuals, including former Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayaka, in connection with the central bank bond scam. The court has issued the warrants calling for the arrests of former Minister Ravi Karunanayaka and 9 individuals pertaining to criminal offences in connection with the bond auctions that took place on the 29th and 31st of March 2016. The Attorney General had instructed the acting IGP recently to obtain warrants upon reporting the case details in court, since sufficient information has been revealed pertaining to 12 individuals, including former Minister Ravi Karunanayaka, owner of Perpetual Treasuries Arjun Aloysius, and former Central Bank Governor Arjun Mahendran, in connection with irregularities in the bond auctions in question. Thereby, on the 4th of this month, CID officials apprised the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court on the particulars pertaining to this case. Colombo Fort Magistrate Ranga Disanayaka, upon taking the details presented in court into consideration, issued warrants for the arrests of the suspects. The magistrate also ordered overseas travel bans on the 12 individuals, including former Minister Ravi Karunanayaka.
And now President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that he was able to change the period in which state institutions were used to award positions to political affiliates. The President made this comment at a gathering held at the Presidential Secretariat this afternoon. This was with the participation of the newly appointed chairpersons and board members of a number of state institutions. The gathering is regarded as the third of a series of discussions to be held with officials of all state institutions. The objective of the series of the discussions is to raise awareness on a vision and targets topic given at manifestos on a prosperous vision and on the vision of the state service and the economic and social principles. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa stated, at the presidential election, people elected him with a lot of hopes, and the President believes that people enjoy true freedom when they are able to get about their day-to-day activities without the pressure from various sections. He also noted that as the President, he also has challenges, and public officials have also challenges. Therefore, when a position is obtained in order to reap the benefits, the President said, according to the manifesto, that he has put forward the intents to build the country, especially in achieving economic growth.
අභියෝගය තියෙනවා. ඒ බාරගත් තනතුරෙන් නිසි ප්‍රතිඵල අපි ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තිබෙන ඒ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ප්‍රකාශනයට අනුව
Presidential Secretary Dr. P.B. Jayasundara, Senior Advisor Lalit Veeratunga and Defence Secretary Retired Major General Kamal Gunaratne was also in attendance.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has requested the task force on the prevention of the coronavirus to formulate a scientific process to prevent the coronavirus from entering the country. The President gave this instruction at a discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat today. The President says as a result of the steps taken by the government and the specialists in the health sector from the very inception, Sri Lanka is a country that successfully faced the corona outbreak in the region. The task force advised the President that passengers arriving from the countries such as Iran, South Korea and Italy, at which the coronavirus is spreading rapidly, need to be quarantined for 14 days. The President pointed out the need to constantly air over the media the preventive steps that need to be taken to curb the spread of the disease. Instructions were also given on proper preparation with regard to suitable locations, resource personnel, facilities and equipment that will be required if the quarantine process needs to be implemented in future. The Ministry of Education states students, teachers and staff members in the education field who are returning from abroad will be directed towards a 14-day quarantine period. In a release, the Ministry of Education states that the relevant instructions in this regard have been provided to the heads of all schools and educational institutes. This step has been taken upon a request made by the Ministry of Health. The leprosy hospital in Handala has been chosen as a suitable quarantine center to facilitate the monitoring of passengers arriving from Iran, South Korea and Italy. However, residents of the area engaged in a protest against this move. The protesters even obstructed vehicular traffic at the Hekita junction at Handala. The protesters spoke to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa over the telephone and arranged to discuss this matter tomorrow. They then called off their protest. The Ministry of Health says by having passengers who arrive from countries where the coronavirus is spreading rapidly quarantined for 14 days, it is possible to identify those who have contracted the virus and administer treatment.
Infected by this coronavirus, who is taking treatment in an Italian hospital. Her condition is stable. Today morning also I spoke to her over the phone and she said that she's in a stable condition. Also we contacted the doctor as well as the hospital and we learned that her condition is stable.
Meanwhile, President of the Doctors Association of the Uva province, Dr. Palitha Rajapaksa, has confirmed that the child who was admitted to the Badal hospital has not contracted the coronavirus. The child was admitted to the special treatment unit of the Badal General Hospital after developing fever since arriving from Korea. Our correspondent states, currently the child has been discharged.
Now, former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the spread of the coronavirus has been so intense that it has brought China, which is a factory to the world, to a standstill. Speaking in Dubai, the Premier stated Sri Lanka is also experiencing the impact of this.
In the country.
Former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe is participating as the chief guest at the WION Global Summit, which is underway in Dubai. The summit is organized by the WION International News Channel of India.
China, 1 year ago, was very strong at the table. Now coronavirus has rapidly destabilized the economy. For the first 3 decades, the country ever expanding international affairs is brought to a halt by a virus which is testing its health services to the limit. Maybe it is only China that can face trade war and coronavirus simultaneously. They face Trump and coronavirus and they are passing it down to us now. America, the major economic and military power, political dividers as never before, heading for an uncertain election. A new America First policy has abandoned the sole superpower concept and is alienating friends has resulted in a new attempt to function with a fewer allies than before. One of the great political achievements of our time, now divided and weakened with a rising anti-EU right. A Brexit which has left UK searching for trade partners in all corners of the world with an uncertain impact on the medium-term economy. They are also now feeling the impact of the coronavirus. I read today the first European regional airlines Flybe has collapsed due to the disease. And UK has stated they are shifting from containing the outbreak to delaying the outbreak. Big companies like Sony, Apple, Nike are closing down their offices in different parts of Europe. Russia, technically strong nuclear power, is now trying to make the international political systems adjustments and fearful of the sudden drop in oil prices. This is the basis of its economic power.
Now, the World Health Organization says the spread of the coronavirus can be curbed only through a proper plan implemented with the contribution of the governments of many countries. Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, says for this, the contribution of the health sectors as well as the dedication of political leadership is necessary. Quarantine procedures and disease monitoring that are conducted upon a scientific basis are of high importance in the fight against the COVID-19 virus. Sri Lanka has also been praised in the global context as a country that follows such procedure. Currently, South Korea follows a well-established disease monitoring procedure. Therefore, the South Korean health authorities have been able to properly identify infected patients. Meanwhile, the government of the United States has recommended that groups that are at risk of contracting the virus be quarantined in their own homes for monitoring. Currently, steps have been taken to quarantine over 2,500 of a group that had contact with corona-infected patients in New York.
And now on related news, Sri Lankan Airlines has announced that it will be temporarily suspending its services between Sri Lanka and China from the 10th of March to the 30th of April due to the current market conditions resulting through the significant reduction in the worldwide travel to and from China. The government of China has also imposed restrictions on overseas travel of its own citizens. The situation is being continuously evaluated and Sri Lankan Airlines intends to recommence services as soon as the situation becomes commercially viable. Accordingly, Sri Lankan is prepared to recommence operations even prior to the 30th of April if the current market condition is to normalize. And now, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the Provincial Council's elections needs to be held soon after the general election. The Premier further states that he intends to introduce a new constitution after obtaining two-thirds majority at the general election. The Premier expressed these views at a gathering held at the Temple Trees today with the participation of news editors, editors of newspapers, political columnists and cartoonists. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa stated that they intend to go for the next election as soon as the parliamentary elections are held. Without further delay, he further stated that they need to scrap the 19th Amendment. He also stated that the amendment has caused a lot of problems, and the Premier also stated that their achievements are now being spoken of, especially in the task of ending the war, strengthening the economy, bringing in foreign investments, providing infrastructure and 100% electricity connections. Prime Minister Rajapaksa also stated that many people do not know from where these benefits were received. He alleged that the economic collapse during the past 5 years, increasing unemployment and affecting all sectors.
The engineers of the Norachole Lakvijaya power plant say they are prepared to commence the fourth stage of the plant. As development work at the plant has not taken place after 2014, a loss of 146 billion rupees has been incurred. The first stage of the Norachole power plant, which commenced construction work on the 11th of May 2006, under then President Mahinda Rajapaksa, was vested with the public on the 22nd of March 2011. The second stage was inaugurated on the 16th of September 2014 by then President Mahinda Rajapaksa and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Currently, 40% of the total power is generated at this plant, at which power can be generated at a low cost. The plant has been constructed in a land area spanning 272 acres, whilst the authorities have taken steps to grow mangroves in an area of 20 acres, at which over 35,000 mangrove plants have been planted. Steps have also been taken to minimize the environmental impact. A third party is always monitoring the plant, and a special procedure is underway in the transportation and storage of coal. The plant adds a total capacity of 900 megawatts to the national grid. A ceremony to mark the International Women's Day was held at the auditorium of the Disaster Management Center today. The theme was Countering Technology-Based Violence Against Women. At the event, the manner in which cyber technology, mobile apps and mobile phones are used to discriminate against women was discussed. Former Supreme Court Justice Shirani Tilakavardhana delivered the keynote address, whilst chairperson of the Human Rights Council of Sri Lanka, Professor Deepika Udagama, delivered the opening address.
Well, each International Women's Day, the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka has selected a theme for discussion with the objective of making the public more aware of that particular subject and also the law reform that needs to take place in order to provide support and protection to women. This year, we selected technology-based violence against women because we see in police statistics also the number of cyber crimes, cyber violence targeting young people in general, but we find that particularly young girls and women are very vulnerable. Although a large proportion of Sri Lanka's population, especially the younger people, younger citizens, use internet and various apps, we recognize that very few have a good understanding of this new medium, social media.
Women and girls. One is actually to make.
I don't care. That is the attitude. So I want.
Be careful how your children are using these browsers. Virtual private network is a very dangerous thing because you're introducing them to the dark web. Because then the dark web can survey your children's conversation. So the virtual private network, what it does is, you're talking from Sri Lanka, but it imitates that you're talking, say, from Australia, or you're talking from Paris. One more thing, there's a red room in the deep website, in the dark web, there is a thing called the red room, where children, men and women are tortured and killed, and people pay to watch it. And they check in, they click in, and they pay to watch it. So what happened in the Koala thing was, because they were surveilling people who checked in, they caught not only the perpetrator, they caught 2,800 people who were coming in. They pay big money. So only those who bid the highest can watch the child or the man or the woman getting killed. It's called the Red Room. Go home and read it.
And now our correspondent reports that thunder showers are being experienced in a number of areas, including Ratnapura, bringing an end to the dry spell. Heavy showers have been experienced in the Ratnapura town and the surrounding areas yesterday and today. The area around the historic Sabaragamuwa Mahasaman Devali in Ratnapura reportedly experienced more than an hour of heavy rains yesterday and today. Meanwhile, the Met Department forecast showers or thunder showers at some places in the central, Sabaragamuwa, Uva, northwestern and western provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts.
The three-judge bench of the Colombo Special High Court today issued a warrant for Secretary to the Presidential Commission appointed to inquire into acts of political revenge Paul K.V. Risingha to be arrested and procedure before court. The reason for the warrant to be issued was due to her absence in court after notices were issued for her to appear in court today. The Secretary's overseas travel has been banned. This order was given when the case filed against Samarap Puligeni Raj Roshan alias Ali Roshan pertaining to the illegal possession and smuggling of 5 elephants was taken up for hearing today. Upon a complaint made by the defendants to the Presidential Commission on Political Revenge, the relevant documentation was taken into the custody of the Commission. The Secretary to the Commission was noticed by the three-judge bench High Court to produce the documentation in court. However, she failed to appear before court today. Navy spokesman Isuru Suryabandara said that all the arrangements had been made to hold the Kachathiyu feast. The annual 2-day festival at St. Anthony's Church in Sri Lanka's Kachathiyu Island will be held tomorrow. More than 3,000 Indian fishermen and pilgrims have departed this year to take part in the 2-day-long church festival at the Kachathiyu Island. Around 7,000 pilgrims from Sri Lanka also will participate in this festival.
Especially regarding security, we have a special arrangement there. Now we are very much concerned about the security, about the locals as well as the foreigners and the officials who are taking part in this festival. Now we have deployed our ships, vessel along with the Sri Lankan Coast Guard and as well as along with the other security forces of the country to ensure the security at a grand level. There were a few comments made on about COVID-19 and another health issues which can be taken place in the area. Now, the organizing party, that means the Northern Divisional Secretary, they have requested from the Health Ministry to have a different system to implement a mechanism to mitigate and as well as to control and to screen the people who might have this COVID-19 or whoever has kind of health issues. Now, especially the Northern Epidemiology Unit, they have a special plan to screen the people who may affected with the COVID-19 or any other disease, like especially the malaria, because we have the records that the malaria is partly rising up in India. Now they have deployed a special team in the island to ensure that there is no medical risk. Now the people will be screened during their arrival, as well as they will be given special instructions, and our medical teams and the special units are ready to address any kind of medical issues which can be taken place at the situation.
And now here are some news items in brief. A program to monitor the air quality of Colombo area was launched at the Colombo Town Hall premises today. The air quality within Colombo municipality limits will be constantly monitored by this initiative. The program has been launched under the patronage of Colombo Mayoress Rosi Senanayake. Sri Lanka Vocational Training Authority and the Foreign Employment Bureau signed a memorandum of understanding today with the objective of directing vocationally skilled applicants for foreign employment. The chairpersons of two institutions, Damita Wickramasinghe and Kamal Tewatta, signed the MOU. The farewell ceremony was organized in appreciation of the service of the outgoing Speaker of Parliament Karu Jayasuriya and outgoing Deputy Speaker Anand Kumarasiri at the Parliamentary Complex today. The ceremony was attended by